Today we are using a bear claw back scratcher instead of my wand because it broke and I don't have black tape, which unfortunately does not quite, I don't know that it quite fits well with the cloak. Oh well, this is the look today. Happy New Year to all. Happy holidays. Very belated happy holidays, if we're including everything. Yeah. Hello. Welcome to my channel, Changeling Reader. If you're new here, my name is Adrian. That's coming across a lot more something. Not sure what word to put to it. Passive aggressive? I don't know. It's something. Not what I'm meaning though. Just yes. Hello. Hey. Howdy. Greetings. Bonjour. Welcome to my channel, Changeling Reader. Today we're going to be doing a bit of catching up, talking about the books I read since I last did a wrap up all the way in July, or all the way for July, because I have not talked about all the books I read since then, so I'm just going to do like a quick catching up on that. And then, well, before that though, I just wanted to check in, because in case it wasn't obvious by my current surroundings, I'm back home. Only got 2 videos from my time over the whole fall semester while at college. I probably could have done more, because I did need to, I was still trying to do stuff, but honestly, I'm glad I kind of let myself not do a lot of videos, because my mental health would have been a lot worse, because the reason I basically vanished for 2 months, yeah, because it was October, right? Because I was talking about Victober, and I was 2 insanely late TBRs, and then nothing until whenever I post this, as well as the various other videos I'm going to record and put up over time. Yes, so basically, burnout. Of a very strong level. I mean, I can't necessarily say 100% what it was, because it's not like I saw a professional at all. But I know myself well. I've done years of research, and I've taken psychology class. I've done research. I don't know how that, like, anything else would distinguish me from someone else being able to talk about my own mental health. But yeah, basically I would say I just kind of went into a very strong, like, neurodivergent burnout. So basically, I kind of, I would say it was happening over the semester, because I did not get a single break, like fall break, Thanksgiving break, nothing. I didn't get a single, time to fully rest as I needed before I was expecting, the work woo. Plus, there was, a lot of the stuff that I'm not used to outside of college, which is being around people a lot, having to do classes, socializing, making sure I'm taking care of myself well, which I did, even on days where I was fully just not getting out of bed much. I still made sure I ate and washed and stuff like that. But anyways, suffice it to say, I thought it wise to not try to force myself or push myself further by making more videos, and considering how at the end of the year, final day, with my final essay, it took me 5 hours to write 2 pages. This is coming from a person who has been able to write a 7-page paper in 3 hours. Yeah, I would say that there's some severe stuff, because I was fully even struggling just to think for it. And then I've been mostly sleeping a lot. To the level where even my dad, who is sometimes a bit oblivious and kind of doesn't pay much attention, has been like, are you okay? Is there anything wrong with you? Because you've slept all day. But yes, even now I'm just starting to feel not mentally exhausted. But I did want to get back to videos because I have a lot of things to do, right? Like there's talking about all the books, and then I want to get back to doing sort of TBRs where I'll talk about it in another video where I kind of talk about like some, I guess, goals or like kind of thinking through what I want to do with the channel this year since it's a new year. Yeah. Can't think of if there's anything else I need to talk about before we get into all of the books I've read since I last did a wrap up, which was for July. So August, September, October, November, and December. I guess this is kind of like more of a reflection video for the past year, and then in the next video I do, or I guess record, I'll do goals or resolutions or what have you for the year ahead. Yeah, that makes sense. So thinking it through, if I counted right, which I just did it now, so who knows, but I read about 20 books since I last did a wrap up. I will say I definitely did not get as much of the TBRs since August, or I got through a lot of my August TBR, but after that, the TBRs did not do a good job on them. But that's fine. Honestly, like, I kind of overestimated the time and mental energy and like well-being. I overestimated the state of being I would be in for those TBRs. So, yeah, definitely did not achieve much. Considering I can't think of anything else to say at the moment, let's just dive into going through these books I read. So, as I remember, I had said that I had finished the first book in the Barcode Tattoo trilogy, and I had on my August TBR, The Barcode Rebellion, which I finished, very much enjoyed, although it did have a bit of like an odd, not the best ending, because there is kind of like autism, and autism saves the day kind of thing that was a bit, but I still like it, especially considering it's from what, 2008? Where is it? Oh, 2006. Yeah. I really like it. As you may have picked up from me deciding to get rid of the third book, I now consider it to just be a duology instead of a trilogy. Which, speaking of the third book, let's get into that. I'm not going to do ratings right now because I really don't have the mental energy to think of a rating for a bunch of these books. You know what? Editing me, I'll put something, like just a out of 10. Otherwise, I'm going to waste a bunch of time recording while thinking. So, yeah. Anyways, I read The Barcode Rebellion. Now, after that, I read The Barcode Prophecy, which I do not have my copy of, or at least I don't know where it is, because I haven't gotten all of the books I wanted to unhaul dealt with yet. But anyways, I read that, and it was so bad. I completely blanked on just how badly written and like how bad the premise is. Like, Suzanne Wayne, this was, okay, let me be honest, this was such a cash grab because the second book was in 2006. I'm pretty sure the third was published like 6-7 years later. It was basically when Hunger Games and Divergent were like really big. So it was definitely feeling like a cash grab to be like, oh, I have a YA dystopia, let me make it a trilogy. But anyways, like, there's a point where a character's ethnicity is brought up in front of the main character, like they're there, and then later the character explains to the main character what their ethnicity is again, like they're half Native American, half Irish, and they say it twice. And it's not even that much distance, it's like a chapter later that he has to re-explain it to her, has a completely different main character to the other two books. There's so many conveniences. Like, it gets to a point where one of the people in the book is like, oh, I dreamt of this place where it is exactly, even though it doesn't make sense the way I'm explaining it. Suzanne just full on forgets how she established her whole telepathy system works, and has it where they're able to physically be in a place even though that doesn't make sense, because that's not what astral projecting is. That's a rambling. I can't do that. I can't do that right now. That one, I will say, it's literally so bad I wanted to get rid of it and say that it doesn't exist, right? Just like there is no Last Airbender movie, there is no third book to the Barcode duology. Oh, also, pardon me, like, sniffling and my voice. I have, like, the remnants of a cold going on, so apologies if you're hearing some sniffing or my voice sounds weird. Okay. Yeah, after that, I read Goldie, which was cute, very fast to read because it's very short and it's for children. Didn't realize it was the first book in a long series. I do think I would give a child this, like, no doubt, because it's just very sweet, and seeing how they go through the efforts to try to keep Goldie, stuff like that. After that, I read Ralph S. Mouse, which was also good. Not as good as the first one, in my opinion. Like the mouse and the motorcycle. This is well, actually, I guess this is a third book, because looking at the back, ignore the text on the writing on the back. But between the mouse and the motorcycle and Ralph S. Mouse, there's Runaway Ralph. So I am completely missing the context of that. But even without that, it's still a decent read. But I still would say I think the first one, the Mouse and the Motorcycle, is my favorite with Ralph. Yeah. Oh, and then we have Hamster Magic, which is technically, like, you can read it on its own because that's what I did, and I think it fairly makes sense. Don't know about for kids though, but anyways, it's Hamster Magic. It's a third book following the books Cat Magic and Dog Magic. I didn't realize that until I was reading it, and I was seeing stuff, and I'm like, okay, this has gone unexplained. We're just being dropped in, which I kind of liked. But if I were reading it as a kid, I'd be like, I had no idea what's going on. What is this? And then I probably would have put it down and been like, I need the first two. Gotta know what the heck happened. But yeah, this is kind of cute. I love the hamster. The hamster's adorable, and he's funny. He's got a very big, like, posh British soldier personality in a tiny hamster body. And it's hilarious to me. Yes, and then after that, I did read Sideways Stories from Wayside School. And I don't know where I'm going to be putting the images of covers for the books that I don't have physical copies of. But yeah, as you saw, I also decided to get rid of that one. Not because it was as bad as the Barcode Prophecy. It was just like one that I kind of was about. I know there was some moments where I was like, can see how this could be a good thing, but overall I just didn't feel for it much. And there were some moments where I did feel like it was too negative or didn't clear. Oh, that's the other thing I will say for both Sideways Stories and Hamster Magic. There are some things in there that I do have issues with, because if kids don't get taught that that's not how things work, it could be very dangerous. Like in Hamster Magic, a dog drinks coffee, which I'm not 100% sure. I need to double check. But I don't think dogs can have caffeine. So if a kid were to read that and be like, oh, dogs love coffee, and just give their little dog coffee, they could do some serious harm to their pets. And then Sideways Stories has some issues with some moments that kind of read very bullying-esque, or just weird in a way where it's outdone by how weird the rest of it is, so it seems normal. So I don't know if that would need to be talked about if you had a kid read it. So yeah, that was me getting through a bunch of my children's books that I had on my August TBR. We're still talking about what I read in August. Yeah, after that, I did finish Frankenstein, which was interesting. The ending was kind of meh to me. I might find it better on a reread, but I want to take some time away from it before I reread it, So when I revisit it, it's not as fresh in my mind. But yeah, Frankenstein, don't need to explain this. This was good, but not the best classic I read last year. I might find it much better on a reread. Who knows? After that, I had read this little... the back says it's technically a trilogy of short stories, but I'm just going to consider it a novella. But yes, it's the Unalive Yourself Club. That's what I'm calling it, because I don't know what YouTube will do if I say its actual title. But yes, there's that. It was good. Some interesting stories. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I did like it. Overall, I thought it was okay. For my first Robert Louis Stevenson, it definitely made me want to read more of his works. So, I would consider that a good thing. Right, okay. And then my mom took me shopping to get some food and some supplies for when I started college. I got The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, and then I read it, and oh my god, it was so good. I loved it. I don't know why, but even when I was in the car, when I just started reading this little introductory bit, I don't know why. But when I started looking at it in the car on the way home, I started getting a bit choked up. And man, did this book, even though it's rather simple and quick, it made me cry. There are plenty of other people who have much more in-depth reviews, so I do think you should check that out. But this was definitely one of the top reads of 2022 for me, so yeah. Okay, and then I had gotten to college, and I read A Monster Calls. I think it was over September and August into September or something like that. But yeah, I read this. This was also one that made me cry. It's about a boy dealing with his mother being sick from cancer. I didn't expect it to be so impactful, though, especially towards the end. It's weird. I wasn't expecting it, but I was thinking through the whole book, and I'm getting just a wee bit choked up, especially after thinking about The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Yes, okay, but yeah, this is also one of my top reads of 2022. So there's that. Then I read Tuck Everlasting, which is a cozy revisit of mine. Although I didn't remember it as much. I mean, I remembered the ending, but it was still sad. It made me sad. But at the same time, I loved it. There's a lot of great, like, descriptions and lines. Like, I was marking a lot of stuff, but Natalie Babbitt has some beautiful descriptions in this. Like, I loved them. They felt so cozy and, like, perfect summer vibes. And fall a little bit. I don't know why my brain is thinking, like, fall. But I think it might have been the rain and stuff, like, the kind of cooler moments. Because it was all in the summer. Yeah. Also, one of my top reads. It's very nice to revisit. Yeah, that was Tuck Everlasting. And then, in 2022, I read War and Peace. Alongside this, I also, of course, slightly revisited Anna Karenina in our class. It looks like I didn't finish it because there's a bunch of tabs missing, but that's because I was like, I don't have time to like fully tab. But if I pull it open to a page, as you can see, there's still some, I don't know if you can tell, but there's still a bunch of my annotations and notes and stuff. It was good. I'm definitely gonna have to do a video at some point about how so much of Tolstoy's works have neurodivergence and even like aspects of queerness in them. That was the main thing that was interesting to me through all these works, is the more the neurodivergence and the queerness, but that there's still like stuff to the point where there's critical literature talking about it. So it's not just like something that I'm like pulling out of thin air. There are other people who are like, yeah, Tolstoy, that's kind of, that's very not straight of you to be so focused on this man's handsome legs and saying that women really like those legs. Yeah. I did write a bit about neurodivergence in Tolstoy for my final paper in the Tolstoy class. And I'm going to work on editing it and then maybe turn it into a video essay on Tolstoy or Tolstoy's works. Let's move on. Don't know why I'm including this here, but not some of the other stuff I read in my Renaissance literature class. But Galatea? You can say it either way, by John Lilly. This was a good play. It's strikingly modern in how it depicts some things. Yeah. It kind of follows these two girls who, in order to avoid being sacrificed, their fathers make them dress up as boys. And then they kind of fall for each other while some other stuff is going on. And then in the end, one of them is turned into a man. So the relationship can work. Which is very interesting, considering like the aspects of gender, trans experience, queerness. That's something that came up when we discussed this play in class a lot. So it was an interesting play. Real quick, because I'm looking at the next book that I have in my pile, and I need to say, I joined a book club at my college, and first in September we read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which was fine. I really liked the more like gothic aesthetics in The Plague Doctor, but otherwise the mystery was kind of and the plot twist was the whole mystery and a lot of the stuff going on there was a bit poorly done, like to the point that the author had to go through a lot and explain it on, I think, Goodreads. That doesn't say good things if the author has to do a lot of work to explain it after the book has been published. Like, it should all be there. But no, I still kind of liked it, but yes, so I read that, and then in October, with some friends I made in that book club, we decided to read The Turn of the Screw, which was not as spooky as I had hoped for October, but it was definitely like a decent story, like a ghost story, sure. But like it's interesting to see the people who absolutely love it. Like I can see why there's a lot of like interesting things that he does with like the way that the main character, the governess, how like her relations with the children kind of shift, and like how she's kind of unreliable. Miles was an interesting character to me, considering his relations, why he got kicked out of school, stuff like that. But still, it was fine overall. Don't know if I'll reread it. It's maybe, but yeah, we read Turn of the Screw. Then for the book club in October, we read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was a bit of a disappointment. Like, it's very well loved, but like overall, the ending kind of meh. And a lot of the relationship throughout, okay. I didn't cry at all, unfortunately. Like, I know some people have said they've cried from it, but I can't. I'm sorry, but yeah. And then for November, the main thing that I kind of read was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy, which was a fantastic memoir, the first memoir I've ever read, so I don't know that I can necessarily say how good it is in comparison to other memoirs, but it was still really good. One of my top reads of the year. But God, I felt so bad for her, and I did need to take breaks sometimes from reading all the heavy material. Yeah. A lot of trigger warnings like eating disorders, mental disorders, child abuse, child molestation. So there was that. For December, the book club, it's technically December, January. You'll see the book in my January TBR. And then for the Tolstoy class, we read The Death of Ivan Ilyich, Master and Man, and the Kreutzer Sonata. And I read it out of this edition of Tolstoy's short fiction. Really loved The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Like, that was in one of my top reads. I don't know. I loved his later works, like Master and Man and The Death of Ivan Ilyich were like my two favorite Tolstoy works that we read in the class. So that was interesting. Not what I exactly expected, but still good. And yeah, then on Christmas Day, I read A Christmas Carol, a little tradition of mine because I love it so much. So even as a reread, this was a top read of the year as well. And that is everything. I have very little time left. So yes, that is all the check-in I can think of. That's all the books I read until the end of the year. Thank you for watching. Do all the YouTube things if you want to see more. Like, And I will see you in the next video. Ciao.